How do I tell if an email was written by AI? Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's the question I got. I got an email that smells fishy. Something isn't right, but I can't put my finger on it. Could it have been written by AI? Sure. But it could also have been written by a human. The bad news here is that, honestly, it's not going to be possible to tell. If not now, then very soon. While there might be some subtle clues in today's AI or the text generated by today's AI, as I keep saying, it's only getting better. The good news, if you want to call it that, is that it shouldn't really matter. Let me talk about that a little bit. First, I want to show you an example of what we're talking about. I have never had an AI craft an email for me, so I asked Claude, using the supposedly latest and greatest model, Fable 5, the following. What's a good prompt to have you write a solicitation email for me? Say a prompt to get you to write a message to someone I want to hire. It came back with this. Claude says, the key is giving me the specifics I'd otherwise have to guess. A good prompt covers who, what, why them, and what happens next. And there's the format of the prompt that it suggested I used. It actually also included an example of a version of that prompt with those placeholders all filled in. Okay, I then asked the following. Write an email to Sally, an unemployed retail worker, asking if they'd be interested in a work-from-home technical support job. I found them online via their LinkedIn profile. Key selling points? Flexible hours, work from home, interacting with a wide variety of people. The tone? Warm and casual. Keep it under 150 words and end by asking for a reply. Here's what it came up with. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want you to read through it because, as you'll see, it's actually not a bad email. As it mentions at the bottom after the email it's suggested for me, it says, about 125 words. Note how the retail experience gets reframed as a genuine qualification. That's the why them part doing its work. So here's my question to you. If you got that email out of the blue, would you think it had been written by a human? More importantly, if you were looking for a job, would you reply? Now, there's a term called Uncanny Valley. It typically applies to our visual perception of the human form. If it's obviously human, well, that's great. If it's obviously not human, well, that can be great or cute or disturbing, but at least it's clear what it is. When it's not quite human and not quite not human, things get weird and uncanny. Now, that same concept can be applied to writing. Writing that's bad is clearly bad. That can be for a variety of reasons, ranging from English not being the native language to just poor writing skills. What I'll call natural writing is also usually obvious. It typically has a style, a rhythm, perhaps a collection of nuances unique to the writer, but it reads as normal or natural. So, read that email message again. Does it read as normal and natural? My take is that while I see it somewhere near, the right side of the uncanny valley, it's close enough to fool most people, especially people for whom English is not their native tongue. I might think twice about it, but A, it's on my radar to keep that kind of thing in mind, and B, I write for a living. Now, it used to be fairly obvious. AI didn't use contractions. For example, it always used I am instead of I'm. And the writing was clearly robotic in tone and terminology. Even now, in our example, AI does seem to use the M dash more often than, say, a natural writer would. Yet, AI continues to improve. Those signs are all slowly disappearing in AI-generated text. At the other end of the spectrum, very few people write perfectly. Even those of us who do it for a living often make mistakes. Usually, those mistakes are infrequent and subtle, but they're there. AI-generated text typically doesn't include errors. It's one of the reasons overseas scammers love using it, because what was once a clear sign of a scam, broken English, it's now easily avoided. The result is messages in grammatically perfect English. I'm tempted to say unnaturally perfect, but I don't want to offend those humans among us who actually, truly, and naturally write 100% accurately. So it's perhaps a sign. For now, it wouldn't surprise me if AI were to begin to introduce these natural errors, either on its own or even at the instruction of whoever's using it. Now, like I said earlier, does it really matter? AI usage is certainly controversial, I get that. But at the end of the day, does it truly matter whether AI was used? Ultimately, it's just a tool, after all. The message is what matters the most. A scam is a scam, no matter how well it's written or who wrote it. We still need to rely on our manure detectors when reading any message. A scam is a scam, no matter how well it's written or who wrote it. We still need to rely on our manure detectors when reading any message. Yep, we've perhaps lost one signal. Proper English is no longer a sign of legitimacy, but was it ever really something you could rely on? Of course not. At the other end of the spectrum, if a message moves you, if it speaks to you, or if it informs or educates you in some significant way, does the possible use of AI dampen the message? I know some are going to say yes, but my take? No. Something that speaks to me, regardless of the source. Do not over-rely on how a message is written to determine whether it's legitimate or not. Scammers have access to AI, as do normal people. Similarly, don't rely on imperfection as a sign either way. And please don't over-fixate on whether or not AI was used. As controversial as it may be, it's just another tool that can be used for good or for evil by anyone. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/194560. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.